Yeah. So, and are there other ways of mitigating?
Well, certainly changing how water is managed through transfer and manipulation of water rights is another way. So in the case of the Dungeness, we have irrigation companies and districts that have done a lot of work to conserve water over the years, and some of that conserved water has gone into a trust situation, and then another portion of that water has become available to the water market, and so we're able to capitalize on that and mitigate using that saved water that isn't being used outdoors and consumed and taken out anymore. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think we just wanted to touch on that if we could, but I know there's a lot of other videos that touch on that too. So, tell us about Quallen County's pilot aquifer storage project. How can aquifer recharge and storage benefit water supply in the Dungeness?
Well, let's see. We could start with the artificial recharge that's been going on ever since the ditches were first built and the irrigators learned how. You could close that door, maybe. Four minutes.
The question that we wanted to tell us about Quallen County's pilot aquifer storage project. How can aquifer recharge and storage benefit water supply in the Dungeness?
Well, I want to step back and think first about how the artificial recharge of the irrigation system on lined ditches has been going on for more than 100 years over here, and so we've got this incredibly charged up aquifer system and small streams that benefit from additional springs that appear in the late season when there's not normally water, water table that's that high. So that artificial recharge is something that was inadvertent. Now what we're talking about doing is a very managed situation where we take a source of water. It could be reclaimed water or river water if there's high flows that can be utilized, and infiltrate it into the ground very specifically. And in the study that we did, we had ecology funding to do a feasibility study for aquifer recharge. And one part of that was a pilot test on actually putting water into the ground and seeing how it worked and seeing if we could measure it. So we we cooperated with the Quallen Dungeness ditch folks, and they conveyed the water to our sites. We had 2 abandoned ditches, and we put water in, again, at a very specific rate and time and volume, and tried to measure that water and the impacts of that water on the water table and down gradient streams. And it was an incredibly valuable lesson. We learned a lot about the process of doing that and how hard it is to measure that amount of water, because we were able to put in 1 to 2 CFS, cubic feet per second, and that's all, which is compared to the Dungeness River flowing at 50 to 100 CFS at the same time of year, or even more like 500 at times at that time of year. We were just a fraction, and you couldn't actually see the trace of our effects compared to how much water the river was actually recharging into the ground in a natural way. So our project, we learned a lot about measurement tools. We learned that it was very effective to get the water in the ground. There was no problem with that. The water went right down, and in a very short distance. It never even made it to the end of the ditch length that we had prepared in most cases. So having a reliable source of water would be the thing that we would need in the future, where we could get more water. And let's see, I think the other valuable thing that we learned was that we just got, our report was prepared by Pacific Groundwater Group, and they evaluated not only the ditch recharge, but infiltration ponds using reclaimed water, and also injection of water into deep wells that could be recovered or pumped back out again, down gradient from that. And they used modeling to figure out the effects of these different scenarios. And we have a wonderful report that is available to for anybody to see, and they can contact me if they want
Does
to.
this show good potential for the future?
It does, yes. I think that in the case of small streams, it's one of the few things that we think we can do to get water, to get actual flow back into the stream, or in a way that's going to, and at the right time, that it's going to actually benefit the stream flow and the fish.
And if we
Right,
find- Okay,
I'm out.
Okay, I was just going to have her define reclaimed water, but it's not a big deal.